Good afternoon, everyone. It is my sincere pleasure to welcome you here today and to participate in our September Science Series. It is my sincere pleasure to introduce today's distinguished speaker, Jonathan Alderson. Mr. Alderson is the founder and principal of Jonathan Alderson Landscape Architects, where for nearly 3 decades he has led the design of landscapes that marry ecological restoration, cultural meaning, and human experience. His award-winning projects range from the 86-acre Meadow Garden here at Longwood Gardens, with its restored native meadows, bridges, and pavilions, to the elevated walkway at Chanticleer Garden, to large-scale projects such as Whiting Forest at Dow Gardens in Michigan, which features a canopy walk, outdoor programming spaces, and restored orchards. Educated at the University of Reading in the United Kingdom and the University of Pennsylvania, where he earned his Master of Landscape Architecture and a Certificate in Urban Design, Mr. Alderson brings both international perspective and deep regional expertise to his work. He's a registered landscape architect in 8 states, serves on the board of Bartram's Garden in Philadelphia, and has taught at Temple University, sharing his passion for landscape design with future practitioners. Across his career, Jonathan has been recognized for his ability to design places that heal, inspire, and connect people to nature. From roof gardens that capture stormwater while providing contemplated spaces for hospital patients, to community landscapes that strengthen the cultural fabric of our cities. His work both consistently reflects a vision of landscapes as living systems that both support ecological health and human well-being. We are privileged to have Jonathan here with us today to share the vision and design process behind the creation of the Longwood Garden's most iconic landscapes, the Meadow Garden. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jonathan Alderson.
Thank you, Kate. And welcome to a journey through one of Longwood Garden's most transformative landscape projects. Today we're going to explore the Meadow Garden, 86 acres of designed natural landscapes that take visitors beyond Longwood's formal garden spaces into a place where time slows and nature's ephemeral beauty unfolds. I'm honored to share how vision, science, and stewardship came together to create this increasingly rare type of habitat. The Meadow Garden represents more than just a beautiful place. It's a vital ecosystem demonstrating Longwood's commitment to environmental stewardship while providing visitors with an authentic connection to Pennsylvania's natural landscapes. We call this area the Meadow Garden rather than the meadow because it is a design space. It's mimicking the beauty and ecological function of a wild meadow while providing structure and visual appeal throughout the seasons. The story begins in 1906 when Pierre Dupont purchased the Pierce, followed by the Merrick at the Webb family farms. These were productive landscapes that sustained families for generations. They were productive pasture, hay, and arable fields. This agriculture foundation connects us to the land's productive past while pointing to its ecological future. The transformative vision emerged in 1969 when Longwood scientists recognized an extraordinary opportunity. Rather than extending the formal garden aesthetics, they proposed something revolutionary, naturalizing the space with native flowers and grasses to demonstrate meadow's intrinsic value. The formation of a managed meadow planning committee brought together scientific expertise, horticultural knowledge, and design sensibility. This collaborative approach recognized that creating a successful meadow ecosystem required both science and horticultural knowledge and design to bring this together. They had 3 ambitious goals of the committee. And these were first to enhance the biodiversity by creating habitats where native flowers and grasses would attract pollinators, butterflies, moths, skippers, and the birds that maintain complex webs of life. Second, to offer visitors a different type of meadow experience, focused on ecological sustainability and contemplative beauty of seasonal change. And third, to serve as a living demonstration of conservation in action, showcasing watershed protection, invasive species control, and native plant community maintenance, while creating meaningful connections between people and nature. In 2012, my firm was selected to work on a comprehensive plan for the meadow. Before design work began, we conducted a thorough site analysis. The 86-acre site presented both opportunities and challenges. There were former tired agricultural fields that had severely compacted soils and were optimized for crops rather than diverse plant communities. There's varied topography ranging from steep to gentle slopes to seasonal wetlands, while the existing tree-line edges provided sort of this natural framework. Our design process emphasized ecological authenticity from the very beginning. Every design decision needed to be supported to support the natural ecosystem function rather than any imposed artificial pattern. The core principles were, as I said, ecological authenticity. We wanted to make sure the natural ecosystem functions were supported. We also wanted to allow for accessibility with sensitivity. So we wanted to allow for universal access to this space while minimizing the amount of habitat disturbance. We wanted to celebrate the seasonal dynamism of the space. We wanted to show how the meadow changed its character over the year. And we wanted to provide an opportunity for education. We wanted to create moments for interpretation and for learning. The careful integration of pathways, elevated boardwalks, viewing bridges, and weather shelters allowed for intimate meadow experiences while protecting sensitive habitats. Each of the structures that we designed had to feel natural and unobtrusive. And we wanted to use materials and forms that fit with the agrarian past of this landscape. Plant selection formed the restoration's heart. We want to focus on Southeast Pennsylvania natives, recognizing that a successful meadow ecosystem requires complex plant communities. We wanted to make sure that they supported each other and the dependent wildlife. We specified grasses such as big bluestem and little bluestem and switchgrass to provide structural foundation and year-round interest. Their extensive root systems prevent erosion, and they store a significant amount of carbon, and they create soil structure that's benefiting other plants. We planted wildflowers, including blazing star, black-eyed Susan, purple coneflower. We actually did plant some Joe Pye weed, though I think some of the docents probably wonder why we did that since there's so much out there already. New England aster, all this to provide a continuous bloom from spring through fall. And these also support diverse pollinators. Each species was specifically chosen for ecological roles and aesthetic contributions. In the wetland habitats, we planted blue flag iris, cardinal flower, swamp milkweed, all to serve multiple functions, managing stormwater, providing breeding habitat for amphibians, and creating spectacular seasonal displays. We implemented the project in carefully planned phases, using a combination of no-till seed drilling and plug planting, learning from early successes while minimizing the disturbance. This enabled plant communities to establish gradually, creating natural transition zones. Invasive species presented and still present ongoing challenges that require integrated management strategies. Longwood's approach now combines prescribed burnings, mechanical removals, targeted herbicide applications, and mowing. as well as competitive planting with aggressive native species. The key to success lies in understanding both the invasive species that we're fighting and the native species that we're trying to protect. Regular monitoring is essential, and this has allowed Longwood to address invasives before they become fully established. At Longwood, they prioritize management decisions based on 3 factors. One, local invasive levels, and the second being individual species risk assessments, and then the cultural importance of the affected habitats. The meadow had to fulfill both ecological and educational functions, and sometimes this creates tension between conservation goals and visitor access. We addressed this challenge through a series of strategies. We designed the viewing areas and pathways that concentrate visitor impact while protecting sensitive habitats. This is an early study of a viewing shelter that mimics the form of a corn crib that you might have seen in an old farm area. And this is the actual built structure, and they did a great job of taking our sketch and actually putting it into built form. Adaptive management practices not only considered the management of invasives, but also the refinement of the prolific native species such as goldenrod and the Joe Pyeweed. Longwood has adjusted its mowing patterns to protect plants such as the Spiranthes lacquera orchid colonies that have developed in the meadow. And in fact, the protection of the rare Andropogon's gyrans exemplifies how restoration can enhance populations of rare species. This grass has actually successfully expanded from an existing small population to some of the newly restored areas. Climate change demanded forward-thinking strategies in our planning. When selecting species for new plantings, we chose varieties expected to perform well under changing conditions. This often meant selecting species whose ranges extended further south, anticipating northward habitat shifts expected as the temperatures increase. We designed plant communities capable of handling both drought and intense rainfall as weather patterns become more variable. This approach contributes to global conservation efforts as well as demonstrating effective local adaptation strategies. This is a photo of the Meadow Bridge, what we call the Meadow Bridge, where we actually took plants across the bridge with the pathway, and it's actually disguising a concrete culvert. We've made it look like an old humpback bridge. The path system was designed to create discovery journeys that reveal different aspects of the ecosystem while protecting the sensitive habitats. We used elevated boardwalks to provide unique perspectives and wildlife observation opportunities while minimizing the ground level disturbance. And we included interpretive elements focusing on key messages that connect immediate observations with broader ecological concepts. The garden serves as Longwood's outdoor classroom, hosting guided tours, school programs. This is in fact the way many of my kids' friends learned about meadows. My kids already knew something about meadows, but their friends didn't. So it was a good opportunity to get everybody on board. And specialized workshops on topics ranging from plant identification to pollinator conservation. The Webb farmhouse at the edge of the meadow provides a tangible connection between the area's agriculture past and its conservation future. It tells the story of all who have inhabited this land, from the Lene Lape through the family farms to our current conservation efforts. And this is a shot of the interior. This building was restored by John Milner Architects with interpretive signage by the Gecko Group, and it's well worth a visit. Our planning and design work success has depended and still depends on Longwood science team. In their work and working in harmony with natural processes. Longwood conducts prescribed burns to mimic natural fire cycles that maintain healthy meadow communities. Longwood also uses selective mowing, as I said before, to protect different plant communities and meet various wildlife needs. Ecosystem monitoring combining scientific studies with citizen science is now tracking biodiversity and guiding management decisions. A baseline plant community study has now documenting how the composition of the meadow is changing over time, and it really is changing over time. While stream bed microintervate samplings are now monitoring stream health. Frolic Run, which is the meadow's stream, consistently shows the highest quality of metrics in these assessments. Community involvement through volunteer programs has engaged members in bloom phenology monitoring by species and invasive species removal. And not only do these efforts build conservation awareness, but they're also providing essential management support for the team at Longwood. After 5 decades, the meadow is a remarkable success. Over 600 native species now thrive here, supporting diverse wildlife communities, including numerous pollinator species that had disappeared from our region. The meadow serves as a pollinator haven, providing life cycle support through host plants for caterpillars and nectar sources for adults. Wildlife corridors connect with surrounding areas, creating habitat networks that support larger, more stable populations. I always have this shot in here, and this really doesn't relate to what I'm talking about, carbon sequestration, but I just love it because it shows a couple of goldfinch chicks that are nesting in a Joe Pye weed with the view behind of the goldenrod. And I just think that their beaks have that goldenrod color in it, and their necks have the color of the stem of the Joe Pye weed, and that they're perfectly aligned with the plants in the meadow. But there's also carbon sequestration going on in this meadow through the grasslands, and it's contributing to climate change mitigation, and it's providing valuable ecosystem services. The grass roots can extend down to about 8 feet, storing that carbon while improving soil structure. Visitor surveys reveal that the meadow provides unique experiences that build conservation awareness, not just with the kids, with the older people too. Many visitors report increased appreciation of native plants and greater interest in incorporating these natives into their own gardens. The project is serving as a regional model for meadow restoration throughout the Mid-Atlantic. Techniques developed here have been adapted for projects ranging from residential gardens to large-scale public land restoration efforts. And don't tell Longwood, but I've used a lot of things I've learned here in my projects. Professional recognition from landscape architectural and conservation organizations have validated Longwood's technical excellence and has encouraged similar projects at other institutions. Longwood's Meadow Garden exemplifies the truth about ecological stewardship, that conservation isn't about preserving a static moment, but about guiding the continuous evolution of living systems. This dynamic approach has positioned the garden as a model for adaptive conservation in an era of unprecedented environmental change. I've got a shot up here of the beach, what we called the beach woodland boardwalk. And this is soon going to tell a different story. Beech leaf disease is spreading throughout the Mid-Atlantic region, and it's going to cause a decline in mortality in beech trees. But rather than viewing this just as a loss, Longwood sees this as a transformational opportunity. While in the short term, there's more academic study. What might this area become? As the beech canopy disappears, this space could evolve into a birch grove with that distinctive papery bark and it could be sort of a beautiful space. It could also be a stand of swamp white oaks with that different type of habitat and that beautiful fall foliage. So the future development is all at hand, and there are new challenges all the time that need to be built upon. Trail improvements are responding to the impacts of the meadow's popularity. And these include rerouting pathways that have been affected by heavy visitation. There's also research and work done on vegetation management, such as planting a lot of the steep slopes with native suckering plants and trees and shrubs such as sassafras and sumac to reduce maintenance requirements. Longwood has developed research partnerships focusing on pollinator ecology, carbon sequestration, climate adaptation strategies. Longwood's collaborating with the Stroud Water Research on stream monitoring, the University of Delaware on purple martin tracking, the Pennsylvania Natural Heritage Program on plant communities compositions, and Mount Cuba on the prescribed burns, and working with their conservation horticulture team to provide homes for rare species, such as this endangered Euphorbia purpurea. Longwood has expanded the educational component of the meadow as well to include enhanced interpretation facilities, and it's expanded programming that creates community of practice extending conservation knowledge beyond Longwood's boundaries. The Meadow Garden stands as proof that thoughtful design and committed stewardship can restore damaged ecosystems while providing profound visitor experiences. It demonstrates Longwood's conservation leadership, and it serves as an inspiration for future generations. The Meadow Garden represents over 5 decades of dedicated conservation work, transforming agricultural land into a thriving native ecosystem, while creating accessible visitor experiences, building conservation awareness. So what's your role in conservation? It could be as simple as planting natives in your garden, participating in local conservation organizations such as Natural Lands or the Brandywine Conservancy, advocating for habitat protection in your communities, and visiting and learning from projects like the Meadow Garden. The future of landscapes like this depend on all of us, and I just wanted to thank you all for being here today. It's great that you're all interested in native landscapes, and we should be all out there walking through the meadow right now. Thank you.